Is Alex with My House Deals. Today we are talking with Jeremy in Houston, Texas. Jeremy just completed his first flip for a property that rental portfolio until life happened and he decided to switch up his strategy and focus on flips instead. So he found a house on My House Deals, which turned out to be a pretty big project. He got a lot of contractors involved. It was really the biggest scale project that he has ever done. So we're going to be talking about that today. And as part of the conversation, you get to hear Jeremy's experience in working with a hard money lender and securing funding, some things to watch out for when working with contractors, and how to build your contractor network so you're working with good people who are going to be reliable on your projects, plus what he did to market and sell the deal after it was completed pretty quickly so he could reduce his carrying costs and maximize his profits. So keep watching for Jeremy's story. And thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Where are you calling from?
Houston, Texas.
Nice, a fellow Houstonian. Very good. So, Jeremy, you just found a deal on My House Deals. Is that correct?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that process. What kind of deal were you looking for, and how did you spot this specific deal?
So I was basically just kind of looking for the cheapest thing I could find because I just wanted to do a flip. I had several rentals in different cities, and then I sold them, got married, got divorced, and tried to recoup. And the only way that I knew, which was real estate. So that's kind of what drove me to the process, man. I always been looking for off market deals, right? So things that aren't on the MLS, and man, just did a quick Google search and came across the website and started looking.
How long were you on My House Deals looking for properties before you found this particular one?
Probably as a non-member a few months, but once I became a member, probably I don't know, maybe about 3 months, maybe, and then I found it.
Okay, very good. Did you pretty much look for new deals every day? How often were you checking the website for that?
Kind of sporadically, it would be times where I would just get real excited, so I would check it every few days, and then sometimes I would wait like a week or so.
And for this particular search, Jeremy, were you looking for a specific type of deal? Were you looking for a specific type of property on a particular zip code? Or were you focused more on the numbers, and wherever it was, if the numbers made sense, then that was a good deal for you?
Yeah, choice B. Yeah, I was just looking at the numbers. I mean, Houston is a pretty big place. Anybody that's lived here knows that it's like 30 to 45 minutes pretty much to get anywhere in the city, man. So unless you're going somewhere in the same neighborhood. So I wasn't really concerned about the distance. Rather,
Yeah.
it was more or less about the numbers. And I ended up finding some on the south side of town that was partially remodeled, but I ended up having to do a lot of rework, so that kind of messed up the budget.
Got you. So tell us a little bit more about the property itself. How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, and what you mentioned it's pretty extensive rehab. What kind of work have you had to put into it?
So it was a two bed, two bath originally, with a small office space, but it had a window, so I think they listed it as like a 3 bed, two bath. Then there was like a big game room in the back, so I converted that into a bedroom. And so it started off as a 3-2 and ended up as a big 4-2.
Nice. And what kind of work did you have to put into it? Was there structural work? You've, of course,
Oh man.
yeah,
So
tell us more about
basically,
that.
I was looking for something that was either down to the studs or um something that I could just put a little bit of work into just to get it rent ready or sale ready. Uh, and so I found something. It pretty much had all the sheetrock done, new a little bit of electrical and all new plumbing. Uh, but as I had like the trades come in, it was a nightmare because like some of the stuff wasn't done. Some of the HVAC had been started, so I assumed that the gas was fine for the heat. Um, but to answer your question, no, I ended up having to level the foundation because it was sinking in some places, um, kind of crowning in the middle, and the edges were down a little low. So I had to get the foundation done. Then there was termite damage, which I knew, but I didn't know the extent of it. So and again, some of that had already been remediated, and so I think like the entire garage and the back corner of the house had to be completely restudded. And so did that, and then just a standard like hardy plank around it, and some decent landscaping.
Gotcha. And so, have you done a project of that scope before, or were you
No,
used to it? Was
everything
this,
everything that I had done was like small DIY stuff on the
yeah.
rentals that I had before. Like they were already rent ready, and then I was just making like small upgrades, different lighting fixtures, toilets, bathrooms. I had done all that stuff before, but I had never done like a flip from the ground up.
And was it that made you want to go from those projects that some would say are much easier, right? Because you're just either doing something that's very cosmetic, quick, DIY, as you said, putting it back on the market versus going something that was going to be a lot more involved, that would involve a crew, multiple contractors, that would require a lot more work. What was your thinking behind that?
Oh, I mean, like I said earlier, it was really about the money, man. I was kind of in a desperate position, and I was trying to recoup as much money as possible, as fast as I could. Because with rentals, right, like there's no, uh, you can't recoup the capital unless like you sell, right? Like you can't recapitalize. It's easier. So I was thinking, well, worst case scenario, I'll just have it for like 2 or 3 months after I get done, be done in like 2 or 3 months,
Hmm.
and then I'll be good. But as you probably know, man, plans are meant to be broken usually. So
That's how you learn,
you
right?
know, yeah, everybody has a plan till you get punched in the face. So uh, man, I took a few blows, and that 3 months ended up turning into about 8 or 9. So yeah, from May to March, actually.
So now you've completed it.
Yes,
Have you been able to sell it?
yes.
Awesome. That's good because as we talk, things are even tighter in terms of materials, labor. So the fact that you're able to get it done and sell it by March, that's awesome. What are some lessons that you learned from taking on a more complex project that will help you with your next one?
Oh, the money. So budgeting, number one. And these projects usually involve hard money, and there's a way that you use hard money and a way that you don't use hard money. Uh, so I would say the biggest thing, the biggest lesson learned is to just make sure you budget properly, because
Mhm.
I mean, worst case scenario, you'll just sell it for a little bit less. But if you use the hard money properly, then you'll stay within budget and you won't have to use your money, which is the overall goal. Overall goal.
Mhm.
Um, so that would be the two biggest lessons that would have to be around money. And then the I would say maybe a third lesson would be supply chain, making sure that you have good supply lines, whether that be contractors or being close to an Ace Hardware or Home Depot or something like that, so you can get the materials that you need. And if one place is out, then you have like a backup that's not
Sure.
too far.
Did
And
you have your contractors lined up prior to closing on the property, or is that something that you went about doing after the fact?
After the fact, I had an electrician and a plumber. And then, as I would hire people, they was, hey, I know a guy that does this. I know a guy that does that. So, it went from looking on Home Advisor to just networking. And that's how I found the people.
And, and those, that electrician and the plumber, were those people you had worked with before, or did you also find them through your own research?
No, those were through my social network. I found them through friends.
Gotcha. For that uh, cost estimation for the repairs, I imagine you did some work before you closed on the property to have an idea how much you'd be in for. Um, Tell me about that process. Did you use an inspector? Did you have contractors visit and bid on the work? Did you estimate that yourself? How was that for you?
So I estimated it myself. And then I had another guy come back that does appraisals, and he re-estimated everything for me. Because initially, I was trying to find ways to save money, and that's like the absolute wrong way to approach, I mean, pretty much everything in life. So there's no shortcuts in this game. So
You end up
uh,
spending more down the line.
yeah. I
Yeah,
did. For instance, I told the electrician, hey man, it's already sheetrock, but break whatever you need. And he took that as, okay, well, we'll just do a patch job. So another important lesson is to make sure you have everything, the scope of work documented, because I could have easily just, what I meant to say was, hey, just do what you got to do, man, whatever is the cheapest. And then he probably would have said rewiring the whole thing. And of course I would have been okay with that, because he had to rewire the majority of it anyway, because it still had old wiring in it and it wouldn't have passed code. Um, so um, yeah, I would yeah, there are a couple different lessons from just working with contractors.
that's great. You take what you learned from one deal and you apply it to the next, and hopefully with each deal you do, it gets a little bit easier and you fall into fewer of those pitfalls, right?
Right.
Um, you mentioned working with a hard money lender and um, how your timeline was extended from originally maybe being 2 or 3 months to 8, 9 months. So tell us about that relationship. How did you go about securing funding for this particular deal? And how were you able to renegotiate the terms, if at all, when you figured out the project would extend beyond your original timeline?
So I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually did try and renegotiate, but they wouldn't budge. So I just had to I just, the appraisal guy that helped me, man, he said, hey dude, just float it with credit cards, man. So I went and got some credit cards and kind of did it that way, just so I could finish.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Uh, the lender you work with, were they helpful in any way in managing those contractor relationships or the timeline of the actual rehab process?
Well, that was, I actually liked, I can't say that I did like the way that they did that. Like,
Uh-huh.
it was all on me, right? So, all the contractor interactions, I would submit the reimbursement form, and then they would reimburse me based on the work that was done. And they didn't have to, like, it was completely hands off with the contractor. So I was able to manage them directly, which, instead of having somebody that has like a million projects going on trying to also manage contractors, I was able to do it. So that was one thing that I did like.
That's great. Fantastic. So walk us through the numbers. How much did the deal cost you for your initial offer? How much did you put in repairs? And what was the final ARV when you listed it?
Okay, so purchase price was 75K. The original budget was about 40,000. I put in an additional 30 to 40,000 of my own money. So, I mean, obviously it would have been a lot better if I would have budgeted properly. But even after that, I would say uh, the ARV, the appraisal came in at about 177.
Okay.
but the sales price was about 168, I
Okay.
think. So 16, and they didn't ask for anything, so it was just 168 minus the fees, the selling fees and brokerage fees and everything, for the agent and whatnot. So um yeah, it was, so that brought it up to 115. So 75 plus 40 is about 115, and then another 40 is about 155. So I was looking at about 30,000 minus, and then subtract the brokerage fees from that,
Very good. And that's
and
something
closing
that you've
costs.
already been able to clear. How long after you bought it were you able to list it? Did you hit that 9-month mark?
So from oh, well, I listed it, but it wasn't completely done. But when I listed it,
Good for
when
you.
it was completely done, that was in the end of January.
Hmm.
So from May to about the beginning of January, I would I
Gotcha.
would say it was being worked on, and then from maybe mid January to mid March is when everything was listed, was the time that it was listed for.
So, so held it for about 8 months, just about. You had some carrying costs there.
Yes.
And then, but you were able to sell it pretty quickly. Luckily, you've sold it on a seller's market. So,
Hmm.
what are some of the strategies that you adopted to sell the house quickly? Did you list it yourself? Did you work with a realtor? And what kind of marketing did you guys do?
So initially, I listed it myself, but I realized I didn't want to drive all the way like from North Houston to South Houston just to show it. So I ended up getting a realtor, and they did open houses like every Sunday, and then as people would come in, and then obviously other agents showed the property, um, and then she just sent it out to her network in order
Excellent.
to market it.
Very good. That's exciting. What are you in for now? Are you looking for new deals? What kinds of deals? What's next for you?
Uh, I think I want to kind of continue this because off market deals is you get a lot more equity. So I think I want to continue, but I'm just gonna focus on finding off market deals outside of wholesalers, you know, and just put
So
in
you want to
the
market
look.
directly to motivated sellers.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably continue doing the rehabs.
And you're choosing that strategy over rental for now as a way to kind of recoup your capital and build a bit of a bank.
Well, I wanna do that, but also take those properties and rent them, because I mean I can always, you can always sell once you have a property. So
Right.
I want to build back up some rentals. Previously I had like two buildings when I was in St. Louis, so just want to get up to at least two just to have, and then probably sell the rest, or maybe rent the car, or a combination of the two.
Fantastic. Jeremy, was this your first flip ever, or have you
Yes.
done? Okay, very good. What would be your advice to investors who are watching us, who are on a similar path? They haven't done their first deal yet. They're really motivated. They're looking for the right deals, but it hasn't happened yet for them. What would you tell them?
Number one, talk to family and friends. Wholesalers got to make a living too, but if you can get it direct and cut out the middleman, go with that first. Second thing is that it doesn't cost a whole lot of money when you use a hard money lender. The biggest challenge is to just make sure that you budget right.
Awesome. Those are two great pieces of advice. Hey, I want to congratulate you on your first flip. I'm glad we could be part of that process and help you connect to that property. And thank you for being a premium member of My House Deals. We're really happy to have you. And I hope that we can continue to provide you with deals and that you come back and tell us about some more of the flips or rentals that you were able to find through our network. And I wish you much, much success, Jeremy.
Okay.